Hi folks, it's the 19th of December 2014. Now it's starting to feel like Christmas everywhere I go. Are you getting that feeling as well? Well, it's Christmas next Thursday, so not long to buy stuff. I'm not panicking. Right, 19th of December. What games have we uploaded this week? Well, I've still managed to put up 5, which is a bit surprising. So, what was the first one? Well, it was ZX Spectrum territory. The first game we had a look at this week in chronological order, starting from earliest going to latest, was Light Force in 1986, produced by Faster Than Light. I didn't know too much about this game. It was good familiarising myself with that. That was a tricky word to say. But basically it's a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up, come out on a number of systems. Now the spaceship looks a bit different than the Amstrad CPC and the Commodore 64 version. It doesn't look quite as good, but apparently they had to design it in a rectangular square. But that's just the one bad thing about it. Now this is a very colourful game. Now the Spectrum always suffers from colour bleed when it has a number of colours overlapping each other, but this is a fantastic piece of programming by Faster Than Light, so they've done absolutely splendid in that regard. There's no colour bleed in this at all. Its counterparts, when you look at Flying Shark and Xenon, they sort of like all of one colour, and it's hard to see what's firing at you. But Light Force is an exception. They've done exceptionally well. The second stage of the jungle, which I don't think I got to, but I have since. But it's always when you're not filming, things go well, doesn't it? But there we go. And it's 2 Spectrum games this week, which quite often happens, because I like the old Spectrum. It was a 3D game. It's Head Over Heels by Ocean. This is one of those novel 3D isometric games, heavily influenced by the first ones by Ultimate Play the Game. Not sure the engine was licensed to them or not, but it looks damn similar. It's a puzzle-orientated game with a large amount of rooms, which I've never seen that many, but quite cute. The difference in this is you control 2 characters, come out in 1987. One is heads, one is heels, and they got slightly different characteristics. And basically, you have to collect items and the same old stuff. They didn't make up some story around that. Collect objects, solves a number of things, but there's not much else to it. Another one on a long list of games I never completed, along with Night Law as well. Other 3D games that Ocean also made was Batman, so we might come to that at some stage. Next up, a game heavily influenced by Commando, I believe. It's called Dogs of War, come out on the Commodore Amiga, released by Elite Systems in 1989, so 3 games in the 90s there. Difference from Commando is you can have 2 players. There's a wider choice of guns and ammunition, but not too much depth to this one. You control Rambo if you're in 1 player, and you just go on a mad killing spree. My main criticism of this game is probably it's a bit too difficult, but there is a cheat if you type in Timbo and then F5. It makes the game a bit more exciting. Stages are varied. It gives vertical fighting and also horizontal. You can buy anti-tank weapons, which are handy in some stages. Why am I struggling to speak today? I do not know. But it's much more fun, that has to be said, on 2-player rather than a 1-player. And then we come to a game on the Game Boy Advance, and this game always impresses me. It's called International Karate Plus, or IK Plus, by Ignition. Ignition. I can't even read my own writing. Ignition Entertainments. That's smooth. You can't tell I'm reading an auto cue well, it's not an auto cue. It's a crappy bit of cardboard with pen on it. But in the future, maybe I'll get some attractive assistant to do that for me. Who knows? But anyway, it's by Ignition Entertainment in 2003. I first played this game on the Commodore Amiga, so when I had it for the Game Boy Advance, I thought it was going to be a little bit lesser, although coming out later, of course. But it's really good. If you just see screenshots of this game, you wouldn't be able to tell quickly if it was the Amiga or the Game Boy Advance. It plays identically. The music is about 98% there or 95% there. It's pretty good. It's good fun. It's got all the stages. It moves quite well. It's fluid. A little tricky to control on the Game Boy Advance gamepad, but I can forgive it for that. It's a really good game. Really addictive. Good music. Yeah, so take a look at that one. If you own a Game Boy Advance and come across the cartridge at a decent price, I'm saying not hundreds of pounds, maybe a few pounds, then it's well worth a buy. It's a good one. It's a good one. And the last game, the last of the 5, as we gradually go through the Zen Pinball 2 tables, it's Street Fighter 2 Tribute Table. All your characters are there, Chun-Li, Blanca, and Kuma from Street Fighter Turbo. The game's a little flat. It's got music that plays all the way through it, which doesn't vary. It stays constant with sound effects layered over the top. It's quite a pretty table, but not my favourite by any means. They could have done a bit more with it, I think. But it's from 2009, this one, so one of their earlier ones. I would prefer to play Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, I think, or even the Sega. Let's not mention it on the Commodore Amiga. It wasn't a very good conversion. But it's there, all the normal things, multi-ball. Street Fighter 2, Zen Pinball 2. So not a bad table, but could have been a bit better. So yep, so next week of course is Christmas, so I'll see if I can continue to do 5. Please forgive me if I only do about 2 or 3.
No escape. Don't make me destroy you.
Blimey now. That was a bit rude, wasn't it? Okay, well until next time then, bugger off Darth Vader, until next time, ooh dear.
Force is strong with this one.
Goodbye.